I'll just open with questions.
Open questions.
Yep.
I guess what went wrong, do you think? And also I just want to ask particularly about Trey too. I know he wanted to have a good game coming off the off night against Clemson. Struggled especially in the second half here. Was it things that FSU did, or was it a combination? What do you think went wrong with your team?
It's a combination of both. I think it started when we had a little rhythm going, and then we had three straight turnovers. I believe we had an inbound turnover, and then Trey turned it over, and then our rhythm is kind of out of whack after that. Um, they did a good job of switching between man and zone in the middle of the possession, which isn't abnormal, but we let the ball stick again for the second straight game. And we weren't flowing and getting to our second side and getting to our after actions. And right now, the biggest thing besides all that is just I didn't feel like we played with the urgency and the desperation needed for this game. Whenever a team hasn't won a conference game, they're going to play with every game they've been in, except for North Carolina State, to be honest with you. Syracuse, they were there. Wake Forest, they lose on a buzzer beater, kind of similar to tonight. Same thing. Duke game, they're right there. So their desperation and their belief was there, and I didn't think we matched it. And that's the one thing I got to figure out, and the one thing that's got me messed up right now, and I got to get the team back to where we have been. And we had a little bit of a run going, and seasons are long, so they come in waves. So we had I think 10-game win streak or whatever it was, and now we've gotten a little funk, and now we got to get out of it.
Can I just ask a follow-up? Do you think, is it possible that some guys or people just get comfortable when you had a 15-2 start, 4-0 start in the ACC, everyone's talking about making the top 25 and all that? Do you think that maybe there was complacency?
I hope not, but I think anything's on the table with the way we play. We don't have much complacency around here, but, with how we've played the last two games, that's not far-fetched.
Coach, just offensively, especially in the second half, what do you kind of attribute the lack of effectiveness to? Just what do you think kind of went wrong in that?
We just look gun shy. We just looked like we were second guessing and hesitant, and that's not us, and that's not who we are, and who we've been, and I got to figure out why we are that way, and once we get that cleaned up and figured out, we'll be fine. But right now, we just look gun shy, and it just felt like the game, like we were just kind of hesitant a little bit.
And then also, I guess, kind of on that same note of hesitancy, it seemed like a lot of the turnovers, especially in the first half, were like the live ball variety.
Yep.
Is that sort of like the same trend of the hesitancy on offense?
Exactly. It is, and for them, that's how you give them life. I mean, if you look at the stat sheet, you're holding a team, a high-scoring team, and a team that makes almost 11 threes a game, and they only shoot 17 when they're shooting 32. I thought who we are and what we're about, and our desperation showed up when they matched us in free throws. We only win the glass by +5, and we only win the paint by 2. For me, that shows where our mindset and our physicality and our assertiveness is. If our stat sheet looks like that, then we aren't playing with the right intensity.
Obviously, every game is a teaching moment and an opportunity to learn and grow.
Yep.
I know it's been a couple minutes, but looking back on this one and looking back on the Clemson game, what's the biggest thing that needs to be addressed heading into Syracuse?
That's exactly what I talked about. Our urgency and our desperation. If we do that, I think everything else will take care of it. We know, and we've always known how people will guard us once they've scouted us and once we see it, and nothing's going to change with that. But our pace with what we play is what's supposed to offset it. And right now, we're just kind of sluggishly getting through our stuff, and we got to change that.
Got time for a couple more?
Coach, you're sluggishly getting through stuff. Do you think there could be some, I guess, bench production that could also help with that 25?
Yeah, it is, and with Dante and then Timo and Nome, those guys we put their floor spacers, so they got to shoot some of these threes that they're getting. I thought they turned some down. I thought Trey turned down a bunch in the second half when they were going under the ball screens and stuff, and that's what I was kind of saying. We just felt like we started second guessing ourselves, and it gave them opportunities within the game to kind of stay there, but also pull away, because then most of the second half we were kind of playing from behind a little bit.
That you found it important to recruit from Florida, and you'll have another chance against the Seminoles later this season. Just how important are these in-state games for recruiting?
I think they're important. It's a different time now. Usually back, I guess 10 years ago, each team would have a bunch of kids from Florida. I think maybe they have two, maybe, and we have the most. But it's a rivalry, so it means something to the fan base. It means something to the university. So that's always important to me.
Have these last two ACC losses been the biggest challenge so far in your first year? And if not, what has been the biggest challenge?
I mean, nah, this my biggest challenge started the day I got the job of, building the program how I wanted, hiring the staff, and we're still a young program. We're still learning and growing together. And this loss and part of this right here is part of building our culture. We got 12, 13 new guys. Although they've played a bunch of college basketball, we've never done it together. So this is a lesson and a teaching point, and we just got to move on and try not to learn this lesson too many more times.
Can you wrap us up?
As much as tonight was a rivalry game, it was also a day to celebrate Coach Larinaga and the impact he's had on this program. With him being so involved with this staff and this team, what is the biggest lessons that he's instilled into you as you've taken on this first year as being a head coach?
He has really stayed out the way, to be honest. I know he's there if I need him. And usually that's hard for coaches who just retired and haven't been around, but he's done a great job of just being supportive. He's at every game. The only time I really see him is if he comes by the office to get some stationery for his class that he's teaching, some paper or some pens or something. But really, he's done a great job of just letting me know that if I need him, he's there. And I have called him and asked him a few questions, and I checked on him last week with everything that happened with BC. But he's been great.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.